Stop scrolling. The video you're about to watch was inspired by one of the best long-form videos on this topic. If you have the time, I genuinely recommend watching the original because it goes much deeper. But if you don't have 30 or 40 minutes today, don't worry. I've watched it, analyzed it carefully, and compressed the most valuable ideas into just a few minutes without the unnecessary fluff. My goal isn't to replace the original creator. My goal is simple. Make sure you learn the information that could actually help you, even if your schedule is packed. And honestly, if you find another video that explains it even better than mine, watch that one instead. I have absolutely no problem with it because the information is far more important than where you learn it. Now, if you're ready to save your time without missing the key lessons, let's break down everything you need to know in the next few minutes.
PC woke up to a loud ringing in her right ear. Then her left ear started ringing. Her eyes turned bloodshot and she saw double. Tests at the emergency room didn't explain it. Her vital signs and heart rate were normal. Doctors used an MRI to rule out a brain tumor, and blood tests showed no signs of lupus or other common autoimmune disorders that might attack the eyes and ears at the same time. Because her symptoms were neurological, doctors performed a spinal tap. The results from her cerebrospinal fluid finally provided a diagnosis: treponema pallidum. PC had an advanced syphilis infection in her brain and nerves. Syphilis has been documented for over 500 years, and it typically takes years to cause this level of neurological damage. A healthy woman losing her sight and hearing in just weeks was a major red flag. As soon as the pathology report was filed, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services opened an investigation. They quickly discovered PC wasn't an isolated case. Over the previous few weeks, 4 other women in the same region had gone to emergency rooms with identical ocular inflammation and sudden hearing loss. Tests confirmed the common link. All 5 women in this geographic cluster were positive for syphilis. When health officials interviewed the patients, they found the connection. Every woman reported intimate contact with the same man they had met online just weeks earlier. Tracing 5 aggressive cases back to one common partner gave investigators a specific target. This was an active, highly infectious outbreak. 2 months before PC's symptoms began, that shared partner had visited an urgent care center. He had multiple sores that had appeared very quickly. Early syphilis usually presents as a single lesion. Because these sores were numerous and appeared so fast, doctors assumed it was herpes. They treated him for that virus and never tested him for syphilis. Because no syphilis test was performed, his case was never reported to the state's surveillance system. He slipped past public health officials. He continued to meet and have intimate contact with women across several southwest Michigan counties, unaware he was carrying a bacterial infection. A misdiagnosis allowed an aggressive infection to cross county lines. One clinical error turned a treatable case into a localized public health emergency. Historically, syphilis is a slow-moving disease. If left untreated, it typically takes years of gradual progression before causing severe damage to the brain or eyes. Usually, when ocular syphilis appears this quickly, it's only in patients with severely weakened immune systems, such as those with an HIV co-infection. This chart shows the discrepancy. The top line represents the standard years-long timeline for systemic damage. The bottom line shows the Michigan cohort: 5 healthy women suffering neurosyphilis within mere weeks of exposure. This rapid progression in healthy patients suggested the bacteria was deviating from its usual behavior. It was ignoring the historical rules of the disease. When a pathogen changes its behavior, standard medical expectations can become obsolete. Doctors may look for the wrong symptoms, allowing the disease to progress past the point of a simple cure. To find proof of how the bacteria is changing, we have to look at a documented case of extreme bacterial behavior in Seattle. A man there stopped his antibiotic treatment early and suffered through 18 months of illness. By the time he returned to the hospital, he was completely blind in his left eye. Doctors sampled ulcers in his stomach and found something unexpected. He had been infected with 2 entirely different strains of syphilis at the same time. This allowed for genetic recombination. Inside the host's body, the 2 different strains were actually swapping DNA, combining their genetic codes to create a brand new hybrid strain. This direct evidence shows the pathogen can rewrite its own code to adapt. The Seattle case provides a biological explanation for what happened in Michigan. A strain that can change its genetics is a strain that can become more aggressive and move much faster. This is happening as syphilis cases are rising nationwide. According to the CDC, infection rates have been increasing steadily for 20 years. We are also seeing the limits of our medicine. By the early 2000s, the bacteria had already become completely resistant to the common antibiotic azithromycin. Today, our last line of defense against these neurosyphilis strains is high-dose intravenous penicillin, which must be administered every 4 hours for 2 weeks. Catching the infection early is the only way to prevent permanent damage. Waiting for these symptoms to appear can mean waiting until it's entirely too late for the eyes and ears. We've observed this bacteria recombining its DNA to form new aggressive strains. The longer it's allowed to spread and adapt, the more difficult it will be to control.